Hi everyone! So today I brought you guys AOL. It stands for Welcome to the World Wide Wow. So let's get started, everyone. Company profile. Instead giving out my whole mission and vision statement, I just found what we have. It's a global media and technology company. I literally probably scraped it off of somewhere, where its app offer the latest news around politics, the US and the world news, sports, entertainment, finance, lifestyle, and weather. It also allows to watch video clips and stream NFL games. Probably more recent one. So their mission statement is to simplify the internet for consumers and creators by unleashing the world's best builders of culture and code. However, guys, for me, this is what I thought AOL was. Please don't make fun of me. Yeah, so we'll get to that point. That's what I thought it was. It's not. What's going on? Guys, I was young. I'll just be honest, I was young. I didn't know the much difference between AIM or AOL. For me, it seems both of them sound the same. So let's continue on the story. So there's this guy, William von Meister. He is an American entrepreneur. He attended Georgetown University. He actually worked as a cable pioneer who actually wanted to work in a modem transmitting technology. So he was already in this internet service, interested in all these things. And he actually did create something called, he actually attempted to send music through cable companies, which ended up being kind of illegal. So, illegally sending music. Now in 1983, they actually started creating something called a Control Video Corporation called CVC. The company focused on CVC, sold one product for $50. It was called Game Line, and it allowed Atari 2600 video game console owners to buy new games over their phone line for $1 each. I have never seen this before, but apparently if you connect this, you can actually buy games. So that means that you didn't actually have to own physical gaming CDs or probably floppy disk back in 1983, which was kind of the start of buying everything. Converted his variable speed adaptive modem technology to download games from central servers to individual households. So that music sending through phone line allowed him to actually be able to send a lot of other stuff. He actually probably realized that, if I could send music over, I probably could send a bigger, game over. So this allowed users to call up a system and for a fee, download games to their game line. And, games were, from all over, any third-party game maker. And so the largest one was called Imagic. Unfortunately, you guys were like, holy cow, this probably, he probably could have been, the father of Gavin, Steam, probably, all get mixed up and everything. But unfortunately, things went busted a year later. However, the founders and investors stayed together to create the next company called Quantum Computer Services that utilized many of the CVCs over the phone line technologies. So the new company actually rehired, and this guy, Steve Case, William, bye-bye. Good job creating the music line, transporting everything. But Steve stepped in. He plays a big role in AOL. In 1985, they were I did really like this game thing. I can't get over, the phone gaming, having games sent over through the phone line. So they launched a dedicated online gaming service called Q-Links, which actually stood for Quantum Links, for a 64 and 128 game consoles. And one thing that was unique about this was people connection function. So they actually had an interactive chat. So you could actually chat through. Good thing about this one, 3 years later, Quantum Computer Service launched PC Links and partnered with Apple to launch Apple Link, which also went great. Now, after their partnership ended, they actually decided to rename Quantum to America Online by employee vote. So they didn't like the Quantum name and became American Online. And they officially became a paid internet service giving unique features, not at this point, but later on. So AOL for DOS, who knows what DOS is? So I didn't know what DOS stood for. DOS, it's called DOS, is actually an IBM PC compatible, which, you know, like Microsoft is like Windows, right? It's an OS, but DOS was IBM PC, and I didn't know about this. And then a year later, AOL that was compatible with Microsoft was launched. And the most famous thing for this was when AOL greets users with the saying, "You've got mail." I don't know what that is, but apparently they greet you with "You've got mail," which was like a huge thing. And things started to go up. So in 1992, AOL goes public in NASDAQ. In 1993, so who remembers floppy disks and CDs? It was a time of CDs. So America Online introduces its own email addresses, a window version, and access to the rest of the internet for its users. How they did this was by sending disks to thousands of households to connect them to the internet, which I could not imagine. For people in my age or younger, you kind of would be like, what does that mean? Like, how do you connect a disk that connects it online? You don't have just cables that connects you that goes through the wall and what? Okay. But apparently, by doing this, it opened doors to nearly 1 million customers. Because at this time period when I was born, the only people using computers were mostly college students or, you know, people who needed to use computers at the time. So a lot of household wasn't used to using computers. But because America Online did this, it actually brought in more customers, or it allowed people who've never used internet to get used to using it. Anyway, so America Online leaves behind its pay per hour system for a flat $19.95 monthly fee for dial-up internet. Because guys, at this time, bye-bye to CDs. And hello to modem. And at this time, it was like the modern internet era that begins. So, you know, all these America Online trial CDs actually ended up being a frisbee. So, you know, it ended up having a purpose. We're all good. Now, in 1998 and 1999, as you guys all mentioned, the company America Online buys online service CompuServe and messaging platform ICQ. And also, they acquire Netscape, which is a markers of the dominant browser of the era, as they mentioned. So talking a little bit about CompuServe, it's a competitor of America Online. So they purchased it with a 1.2 billion stock, then sells the company's subscription service to America Online in a complex three-way deal. Actually was a negative effect because a lot of the loyal customers of CompuServe actually got mad because they combined. Which makes sense, you know? It's like, why can't you just do what you're doing and get it much better? But did not work. For Netscape, it was a 4.2 billion deal, and they did it just to secure a solid lead from Microsoft and IBM because at the time they were coming in. And the results show they were stronger than expected in earning. They got more than 18 million subscribers, along with their third quarter share ended up being in $118, which apparently is very much. Before we go on, let's kind of look at what kind of services they provided at this time, because from the next year, it kind of goes black. So services included AIM, which I mentioned that I thought this was everything of AOL, which wasn't. Also AOL Video, which featured professional content and allowed users to upload videos. AOL Local City, which is like a city guide or yellow page, and local search services. as you guys know, on the right. And MapQuest kind of was within the thing. AOL News and AOL My E-address, which basically was your email address. Most people should know what happened, but in 2001, 2001, something big happened. America Online merges with Time Warner to form the media giant AOL Time Warner. Time Warner would now have a footprint of tens of millions of new subscribers. So in return, what AOL would get would be the benefit from access to Time Warner's cable network as well as to the content, which added another layer of, user-friendly interfaces. A lot of people thought this was a good partnership because it's like a big company of like AOL, like AIM, like we have so many users who can connect to the internet and everything, and then we get a bunch of contents together, and both two big companies combining, you would expect a gigantic company. Actually, nope, this did not work. And why? Because if you try to merge two big companies together, because they already have such a different culture, it was too hard. So a lot of issues of broadband internet that eating up American online customers as well. And also, in the Time Warner side, they did say that arrogant AOL people horrified the corporates. But you're kind of thinking, so, maybe they didn't work. You could kind of like break apart and, it wouldn't have caused too much deal, right? By the way, this is kind of like, AOL Time Warner. Unfortunately, as you guys mostly know, what happened in 2000. Who knows the biggest event that happens in 2000? It is, guys, all shout it out. As you guys all know, that .com bubble has burst. So that allowed the stock of AOL from 226 billion to drop to 20 billion. So what happened, and 2 years later they tried to make it better, did not really work. So 2 years later, so Steve Case goes bye-bye. He worked hard enough, but the fact that he partnered up with Time Warner did not create a good issues, and ended up being a new CEO named Jonathan Miller. AOL Time Warner also decided to go back to the original name with stock ticker symbol also changed to TWX from AOL. 2006 was years after. Worst time comes to America Online. They actually not only changed headquarters, but they did change their names to AOL. So their official service name also became AOL. They also moved headquarters from Virginia to New York City and retooled itself as advertising company that competes with Google, Yahoo, and Microsoft. So at this time, apparently most of the companies were there, so they wanted to kind of look cool. So they basically cut off 2,000 jobs as they were moving to New York. And unfortunately, before the new CEO came, they also eliminated 5,000 jobs. So total of 7,000 jobs were gone. Sold its access operations in Europe and closed its customer service operations in US and stopped advertising to lure new access customers. So everything just stopped. They were like, you know what? You're fired. I have no money. Sorry, guys. Sorry. And all their service ended up being free because all their competitors were giving free stuff. So because you guys all like graph, guess what I brought? A graph. It's basically kind of showing back in 2001 and to 2006. So a huge downfall. Now in 2009, Time Warner and AOL break up. I really like this talk. They announced the spin-off AOL was much anticipated divorce filing for a multi-billion-dollar corporate marriage. So they actually got divorced. So sad. For AOL, it's becoming a standalone company. They were all saying it in a nice way. They were like, AOL must be much better being alone, It's easier for AOL to attract new talents and, raise capital and, do everything alone. It's more flexible and more focused, blah, 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 and stuff with this sweet talk. But for something that was kind of weird was literally a couple of months ago, Time Warner replaced two leaders from AOL with an executive from Google this guy, Tim Armstrong. So he basically brought a new executive to handle AOL, who he currently is working in AOL still. And then Time Warner be like, we're done. We don't want to work with you. Bye-bye. So unfortunately that happened, but Tim and the nice side created a new logo and decided to sell any businesses that they have. For example, Bebo. Now, for the next 4 years, I gotta say, it's been the most purchasing time period. AOL bought so many companies, starting with the Patch Media Service, which is a local news service, at $7 million. So it's actually one of those companies where Tim helped create the company in 2007. So he purchased the Patch, and a couple of years later, they purchased TechCrunch, as you guys all know, which betting heavily on the ad-supported content as a future, and they really like their techie side of the business. They also bought Huffington Post, which probably is the most biggest purchase that they did, for $315 million in 2011. And actually something ironic was Huffington Post actually took control of all AOL editorial content, and not only that, they gave more of like other media enterprise like MapQuest and MovieFon, so they were mostly in control of everything like AOL national, local, financial, news operations, and what was kind of unfortunate was that they actually cut 900 workers due to this partnership. So they heavily relied on Huffington Post. Others that's not included on my slides are Go Viral, which is a European video distribution network. They actually created a strategic ad selling partnership with Yahoo and Microsoft. They also got a PBS partnership going on to launch something called Markers, which is a digital documentary series focusing on high-achieving women in male-dominant industry, featuring a lot of people. They also got Hipster, which is a mobile photo sharing app. I've never heard of anything. Gravity, which is a software startup that tracked users' online behavior and tailored ads and content based on their interests, for $83 million. And Videable, which is a developed technology to help websites run video content from other publishers and help them sell their content to these websites, for $50 million. So at this point, you kind of see we got a new executive. We're going to kind of change the direction to more like content-based, online, super ads. Like, we're just going to make money off of ads. We're going to be like Google, kind of like ad-based, but we're also going to give you guys content. So, and I don't know if all these purchasing helped or not, but I guess at the end it did, because Verizon came. They announced that they were going to buy AOL for $4.4 billion, which is a lot. So I guess if you guys think about how much money they paid off to purchase all these things and to sell it off to Verizon for $4.4 billion, I think it's probably another like positive thing. But to think about selling it to Verizon, which is also not another big company, I would be kind of afraid if it's going to be exactly like the Time, where it kind of became a Time Warner. Now, the DLC is today's king of mobile phones. So Verizon is like the phone service that you should go into, and they found that, AOL has all these good contents that from all these purchasing, that they noticed that since everything's moving to like a mobile, like phone, we watch every content on our phone, that it was a good idea to get AOL. And perfect enough, Verizon were actually looking for gaining a company that has, video and ad technology, which basically ended up being AOL. One thing that was also unique at this time was right before they sold it off to Verizon, they did create a new thing called AOL One, which I've never heard about. This is like an advertising company that places display ads on mobile devices. I don't know if you guys heard about this, but it's a digital marketing programmatic platform, this is exactly definition I got, that unifies buying channels and audience management platform to track and optimize campaigns over multiple screens. So I actually went to their site because I had no idea what that meant. And what they just do is they show you where your ads could look like on different mobile sets, and that's all it does. It does get current updates to like creative, where it gears towards like, the creative and media agencies to connect markets and ad distribution efforts. It did show like core formats. Usually this one was used, the halo was used in Victoria's Secret, which I thought was kind of funny. So I wanted to bring that. And unfortunately, news stopped in 2015. Swear to God, went searching and I was like, where like, what's going on? So I'm jumping up. So basically, the moment they sold to Verizon, everything kind of ended. And as you guys all mentioned, AOL in 2021, like I said, 2015, I don't see any stock money that I see after 2015. Nothing happened. And not gonna lie, a lot of people asked, is it still available? And I actually did search this. When you type in AOL, a lot of people have a sentence of, does AOL still exist in 2019? Is AOL still around in 2020? Does anyone still use AOL? Why has AOL stopped working? Well, guys, don't worry. AOL still worked. I literally got on it a couple of seconds ago. Just to double check, it works fine. The recent news I could find was that MoviePass did buy MovieFun from AOL. So that feature that they had gone bye-bye from AOL. And I guess another recent news that AOL actually posted was look back at AOL's website through the years in 2020. So yeah. That's basically all of 2021. I guess because it got handed off to Verizon, anything that happens with AOL is connected to Verizon. So you can kind of say that in 2015, AOL kind of ended and got into a bigger pack of Verizon. And that's basically all of AOL. So I like to end my whole talk with, someone who was memorable. And we've gone through 4 CEOs, but the only CEO that kind of stood out to a lot of people, I know Tim is doing an amazing job right now because he actually was able to sell AOL after being in a really bad situation to Verizon, which is a very good thing, was Steve Case. And he goes, in the end, a vision without the ability to execute it is probably a hallucination. Was apparently his favorite famous quote. Gotta work hard. Good work, Steve. I don't know, maybe you're hallucinating about the Time Warner. So that was unfortunate. What I really found that sucked for AOL was that it started too early because of the .com bubble burst that they actually got so much bad thing about, bad results of AOL. But in the end, they actually ended up selling it to Verizon. So, people end up living their lives. It's not the end of the world if something doesn't work. Message to you guys is keep working hard. So that's all for AOL. I hope you guys liked it. So yeah, bye.